You goddamn right. You goddamn right. Goddamn right. How do I stop that from moving? I don't know how to stop it from moving on the screen. Hang on a second. What's up, fellas? How are you? It is late. It is a late one. I know. I understand. I comprehend. My bad. It's just been one of those days. Lots going on. Doesn't matter. Welcome to Gabbin and Games. Let's just get set up here. Oh, I know. This is going away tonight or tomorrow. I just want to let you know this is going away. This and this, it's all vanishing. As part of, I can't tell you why yet, but you'll have to tune in and you'll have to see what that's all about. There you go. Well, I'll be getting a haircut, Isaac. Don't worry about it. Cosmic says, Jaffe, a giant while back, you had people calling in and gave out a phone number if it wasn't a burner phone. It is a burner phone. It was a Google thing that I had set up just for that. Anyway, didn't mean to keep you waiting. I apologize. Do you know what's funny, Bukaki? Bukaki says, damn, I thought Jaffe would have his shit more together with an assistant, but he looks like a mad scientist. Listen to me. So my assistant was here today, and one of the things I asked her to pick up, she stopped by the Target, and she got me a Switch Ring Fit, because I've been wanting one of those. So I'm going to start playing with that this week. We'll see what happens. Do you know what, though? So she comes in today, and she's wearing a T-shirt that has roller derby on it. And I say, oh, that's cool. It's the local roller derby league. And I says to her, I said, well, have you been? I've taken my kids a couple of times. And she said, she says, oh, no, I'm in the roller derby. I says, what? She says, yeah. And she gives me her name. I forget what it was. It was some crazy made up name. But she's a roller derby person. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I've never met a real life roller derby person. The only thing more exciting would be meeting a real life wrestler. I did meet a real life wrestler at E3 one year who dresses like Sweet Tooth or Kratos. I forget. That was pretty cool because he's actually a pro wrestler down in Mexico. Anyway, there you go. So I just thought that was a fun story for me. It may or may not be for you, but there you go. Okay, welcome to Gabbin' Games. It's good to see everybody. I'm a little low key tonight, but maybe we'll pick the energy up. I want to talk about a lot of things that are happening in the industry regarding, just as you can tell from the artwork on this night's episode, the dumpster fire that the video game industry is. And it's really interesting. I'm trying to get Sean Layden on. Sean Layden and I have had some conversations, and he has said, yes, but he's got some other things he's working on right now. And at the right time, it sounds like we could get Sean on here. So, but he did kind of retweet my tweet basically saying the video game industry is a shithole right now. And it's just, I just want to go through some of the stuff. It's not going to be all gloom and doom. There's some really funny and fun news happening towards the back end of the show. And obviously if you want to call and chat, I know I have Ronan in the chat right now. We'll bring him on in just a second before we get into the actual news. But yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff going on that really all kind of hit today. And some of it's the Activision stuff, but there's a lot of new shit going on. And I want to talk about it because it all kind of leads up to this one post that I saw. And I'll save it. I'm going to show you the post. And it's just like my mind is fucking blown when I see a post like this. But I'm going to save it for you. Let me bring in Ronan first real fast. Hang on one sec. God damn it. Okay, let me bring in Ronan real fast. Ronan, it's Jaffe. You there?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I'm just starting to stream. I'm kind of like, don't have a lot of energy tonight. What do I do about that? What should I do? How do I fix that?
Bullshit, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, huh?
I don't know. But what do you want to talk about? What's up, man?
Well, you just take your shoes off, get comfy,
That'll make
get some popcorn.
that sounds like things made me want to go sleep. All right, so what's up? What do you want to talk about?
I did see your tweet on the on Blue Box Game Studios saying the Challenger is a better game than this pile of shit or something like
No.
that.
I said the Challenger had a more successful launch than the Blue Box Games announcement yesterday. Is what I said.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just really disappointed with the studio as a whole because a lot of people were expecting the shit just to like already be launched with the patch that they said they were going to do, because they said like 2100 in military time, which is like what, 9 o'clock. So and it gets delayed for so fucking long. And a lot of people put pieces in the puzzle together, saying this is going to be the next Silent Hill game. Have you been following a lot of the abandoned real-time experience?
Are you asking me? Have I been following it?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm mostly convinced this is Kojima. You know, I honestly, here's the deal. Yeah, it was not too soon. Somebody's talking, the Challenger thing was too soon. Trust me, Adversary One, I literally did the math in my head. I was like going, well, wait a minute. I was in 5th grade. That motherfucker blew up in 86. We're talking 30 years. Fuck you. It's not too soon. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, I don't really care what the blue box thing is. So I'm kind of coming at it from a position of, it's just kind of something happening on the periphery that I check in from time to time. I know somebody who must be just like in love with Silent Hill or something, or a massive Kojima fanboy might be like, it means a lot more. To me, it's just more like, to me, it feels like Kojima. There was something that happened the other day where I want to say there was kind of an obscure band that he tweeted he was listening to, and then that same band, which again was super, to me at least anyway, obscure, was on the soundtrack for something that Blue Box had released, and it was just like, there's too many weird, like, why would he release that? Why would Kojima release that, right? So, you know, it just seems weird to me. But I don't really care either way if it's Kojima or not. I honestly don't really care about Blue Box Studios. I care about them as humans if they are actually, you know, if they are a studio and it's not just a big viral thing. But I mean, end of the day, people are like, well, if this isn't Kojima, they're gonna fuck themselves, and they've really said. I'm like, why? Whether it's Kojima or not, if they come out with a game that people love and are excited about, you know how this shit goes. People have such a short-term memory about all this drama that it'll, you know, no one's going to be thinking about this. I mean, hell, people now look at, you know, Hello Games that made No Man's Sky as like the champions of the gamers. But there was a time where they wanted to, you know, throw these people off a fucking cliff because No Man's Sky wasn't what they promised. And all is forgiven when you show up and pat them on the head and give them what you want, give them what they asked for. So, you know, I think it's interesting, and I'm almost certain it's Kojima, but I have seen people that are sort of fortune telling that if it's not Kojima, you know, these guys are really digging a grave for themselves, and I don't see that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's just one of these, like, you know, days where it's like a lot of people. And by the way, I sent you like the links in the Discord DM.
Okay.
On the comparisons people are making. And the reason why I think it's a Silent Hill remake is because they released a 4-second teaser of like a guy that's walking on some kind of wooden floor or concrete, and it says it's captured on PS5 using the real-time experience app. Now, when I'm looking at the comparison between Silent Hills and Abandoned, they look like they're kind of similar because the guy is wearing boots. He's got the bootcut jeans,
yeah,
and just like some brown jacket.
Okay, I mean, let me say this. I hear you, but to me, I don't. I got to be honest with you. I don't care, right? And I don't mean that like I'm being dismissive of your passion for it. I'm saying it's interesting to me because, you know, two things come up. One is, you know, Kojima's little trickster character routine is really wearing thin with me. I'm kind of bored of it. And if this is him, it's just like, oh, dude, just fucking show us the game. Enough, right? So that's part of it. The other part of it, though, is I just, it's kind of like when I see people getting excited about Dead Space, the remake of Dead Space coming from, what is the studio? Is Motive the guys that are doing it from Vancouver?
Criterion.
And I'm just kind of like, why are you guys excited? If you should be excited about Glenn Schofeld's company, who is the guy who directed Dead Space 1 and 2, and the core of that team is making a spiritual successor to Dead Space. But the idea of being excited about Dead Space from a developer whose last couple of games weren't they kind of service-based games or multiplayer games? Or they weren't. It's not like they have a history, do they, of making these?
Well, the first one was mostly a single-player game. It didn't have any online multiplayer.
No. I know. But the thing people are excited about in Dead Space was never the multiplayer. It was always the single player of 1 and 2, and then obviously 3 had co-op. But Motive, if that's who they are, I don't believe they've
you're
done.
Correct. That's the studio that's developing the newest Dead Space.
So I guess all I'm saying is this idea of brand has such a hold over certain gamers that I'm like, even if it is Silent Hill, who gives a shit? When's the last Silent Hill that's been amazing? I mean, what does Silent Hill even mean to you? There have been so many Silent Hills since 2 that, I don't know. It's almost like saying Final Fantasy or Resident Evil at this point. It's kind of like a catch-all for horror or a catch-all for sword and sorcery magic kind of thing. So I guess for me, I'm always just, stunned when people are like, oh, I'm so excited that it could be Silent Hill. I'm like, what are you excited about? It's just generic horror at this point. It doesn't mean it isn't worthy of being excited about once they show it, but it's just a brand at this point. It's just
and then the weird thing is, it's like the fucking Silent Hills PT playable teaser shit came out in August 12th back on the PlayStation 4.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true.
People were like, "Oh, well, this is probably going to be like the 5th year anniversary for."
Well, I'll tell you what. Stick around because I'm going to tell you why maybe this is happening. That aspect of it, where people are spending this much time about this in just a minute. But I appreciate, as always, the call, sir. I am going to bring in Northy Tunes now. Thanks, Ronan.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too, sir. All right, let me bring in. I guess we were going to do a calls at the top of the show. Northy Tunes is Jaffe. What's up, buddy?
Hey, dude. So something that's been sort of annoying me for a little while is the whole Scott Cawthon situation.
The Scott what?
Scott Cawthon situation from a while back.
It sounds like you're saying Scott Corbin.
Cawthon, the Five Nights at Freddy's guy. I've got a British accent.
The Five Nights at Freddy's guy is that's his name?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm probably saying it wrong, but yeah.
Okay, he's the guy who basically retired amid kind of a bit of a shitstorm because he was revealed to have donated money to Trump and Republicans, even though his fan base is very progressive, liberal, LGBT, all that, correct?
Bingo, yeah.
Okay, so what about it?
I don't know. The situation sort of feels kind of not good for me, really, because we have this... obviously, all games can be political, but you can't be a political person. And and obviously it's justifiable that, hey, this guy put money to Mitch McConnell, but he's a guy who used to make Bible games, Okay. And
so I'm a little confused, though, in the sense that what is it about this situation that has you disturbed?
I think sort of like not really giving the guy much of a benefit of a doubt, really, compared to what he sort of put to games industry and culture and like artists who follow him and things like that, really. That, that it's just such a shame that he gave a response and, to state, hey, I mean, this is like democracy, and it's a two-party system. So it kind of feels like are games coming from conservatives? Are people just going to assume that they're a hateful person?
I mean, look, there is absolutely a breadcrumb trail from... It says a lot about you as a person, the political people that you support. and that you financially support. That doesn't mean, though, at least to me, someone deserves to be, quote, canceled. And to be fair, he wasn't canceled. He simply said, I'm done. He's made enough money. He didn't want to put up with the shit anymore. And he took off, right? But still, though, I look at him and I go, look, if you've given your money to Mitch McConnell, if you've given your money to Donald Trump after the first election, after you've seen what they've done when they got into office and had power, it does speak about you in a way that for me is negative. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy your work, though. But just like he has a right to donate his cash to whoever he wants, and I support that, I support the idea that your actions have consequences, and certain people will look at those actions as meaningfully consequential. Whereas I look at the actions and go, yeah, it probably doesn't speak well about him, his intelligence and or his progressive bona fides, but it's not, I don't have a requirement that everybody agrees with my politics. I totally support, his ability to donate money to whoever he likes. I think McConnell's a nightmare, but
Same.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that was just pretty much it, really. It just feels like such a shame just to end a career that way, really.
Well, that's his fault. I mean, end of the day, again, he wasn't fired. I think he could probably sue and win if somebody fired him for that. But he decided he didn't want to stay in the game anymore because of the shitstorm that happened. And maybe he was right to, because again, I've never even played Five Nights at Freddy's. It's not my cup of tea. But my understanding is it has created a very powerful, passionate fandom, of which a large percentage of the people in that fandom are LGBT folks. And frankly, that is a little bit of a weird disconnect, that you've got the leader of the fandom, the creator of the fandom, being so opposite what the fandom actually loves and supports and espouses and whatnot. It's not like Rebecca Sugar, who made Steven Universe, who happens to be LGBT, and that show is obviously very pro and progressive regarding those kinds of issues. There is a weird schism between his own personal politics and the fans of his work. So maybe he's just like, fuck it, I'm out. I don't know. But to be, somebody in the chat's like, oh, but he shouldn't have gotten canceled. He didn't get canceled. He literally just said, I'm done. And he has the right to do that. All right, Northy Tunes, thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good night.
You too, sir. Thanks for calling. This is Cannibal Lecter of the Cincinnati Cannibals, I think. Cannibal Lecter, how you doing, bud? Cannibal Lecter, where are you?
Hello. Hello.
What's up, buddy? What's going on?
No, it's just read the title of today's cast and said, and I thought the whole point of dumpster fires, right? It's, let's just put everything that is trash in that bin and let's burn it. Isn't that the whole concept of criticism, refining, getting things better? If it's not worth it, put it in the bin and just burn it. And I think the gaming industry, which is a fairly young industry, it's going through its growing pain period. And I think I'm expecting, it to go through this. And I'm not really particularly happy about the consolidation of the studios, because it potentially can end up being, we play only few games that are targeted, the services, the few story-based games, and monetization up to the wazoo. Okay. But at the end of the day, this whole controversy in relation to the harassments, the founders of these companies are being paid exorbitant amount of. Yeah.
So what is your point?
My point is, burn it.
Well, okay, that's what we're talking about. Like I said, I literally tweeted this out tonight, And Sean Layden tweeted a GIF of Paul Rudd with a coffee cup, pretty much nodding and going, "Yep, it's a shithole."
Yeah.
You know, and look, who knows how much of that's the game industry? Who knows how much of that's the entertainment industry? Who knows? You know, more likely than not, it is the wonderful but very painful ramifications of sort of women and other marginalized folks waking up and saying, not waking up, but giving themselves the ability to organize more and to stand up and say, fuck this nonsense, we're sick of it. And whether that's Harvey Weinstein, whether that's what's happening at Activision, I think ultimately this was bound to happen. And I think it's great that it's happening. I think it's unfortunate that it's happening only because it suggests or it paints a picture of awful experiences people have had to endure. But the fact that it is a dumpster fire at this point suggests that's exactly what's happening. They're burning it all down, the shit that doesn't deserve to survive. So I'm with you on that.
And the whole point of any type of revolution throughout the history, or any type of labor movement, any type of, the farmers are fighting against the landlords, it's like, we're not going to take this shit anymore. So, you burn. Well, if we burn together, we burn together, because it's untenable. You come to a situation that you cannot resolve a problem in a matter because the system itself is so rotten to the core. You have to burn it down. And sometimes I wonder, like if you think about Batman Begins, maybe Ra's al Ghul was right, from the get-go.
What did he say from the get-go?
He said that, he's told Bruce Wayne, or, when he was training Batman, he said, like, a society becomes so rotten, so corrupt, that the only way to shake everything out of it is to burn it down, to destroy it all. And that's how revolutions are formed. Now,
I think what's been really interesting, we're going to talk about it in just a second, is what's happening today at Activision. Because I think, even though, you know what, I'll tell you what, stick around, call back if it makes sense to. But I hear what you're saying. I'm going to get into that in detail in just 1 second. Thank you so much for the call,
no worries.
Christoph Watts. I appreciate it, buddy. All right, last call before we jump into the news. Rohan, what's up? It's Jaffe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? So real quick, I'll make it fast because I want you to have an epic share tonight. I saw the title. I saw, man, this has some makings of a classic.
I don't know about that, but yeah, what you got?
Well, I saw how you started the stream. You looked a little bit aggy, right? So I figured, it could go left real fast.
Oh yeah.
But real quick, so about the blue box thing, I've noticed that Kojima has been tweeting a lot about like a trailer he'd been editing.
Me too.
I don't think he ever released. And I know he tweets a lot, he tweets all over the place, but it seemed to line up with this whole thing of like, Blue Box putting out a trailer app, and then it gets delayed. Of course it does. If we're speculating, I think that whatever supposed PlayStation event is supposed to happen in August, I think that's where it's going to get revealed. And I do think that this isn't just some indie studio. This does seem to have Kojima on it. I mean, it's just been too cryptic.
Yeah, I think it has, but I think it. See, I don't think if it's not Kojima, I don't think the only way Blue Box is in trouble is if the game isn't great. That's nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about this stuff. This is just horse shit. It's just fun to talk about. But Kojima, though, on the other hand, again, I just said it earlier. It's just there is a point where I'm trying to think of an analogy of like another entertainer where it's sort of like, maybe it's like Kiss with their makeup. The band Kiss. It's kind of like after a while, it's like, okay, we get the gimmick. The gimmick's great. Now let's just have a period where it's just about your music. You don't need the makeup anymore. Just play cool music. I think Kojima's at a point now where it's like, especially coming off a game that was very mixed, depending on who you ask, meaning Death Stranding. I think he needs to kind of come back with whatever is next without all the gimmicks and all the tricks and just be like, boom, this is the genius that we all know he is and can express himself as. And I just find it kind of obnoxious lately. I'm like, I don't want any more of that. It's like, make something great, you know? I don't need your gimmicks, baby. But I got you, Rohan. We'll see what happens. Thank you for the call, as always.
All right, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks, bud. All right, Edward Jordan, thank you so much for joining the Diet Soda Soldiers. You all so-and-so. I want to tell you guys something real quick about the Diet Soda Soldiers and all the other tiers of membership here at the Gabbin and the Games. I found, let's just say, access to the Moonlight and Biscuit Social Club, or Moonshine and Biscuit Social Club. There's going to be more value added to it soon. I don't want to officially tell you what I'm going to be putting up there because it's not officially a legal thing. But there's something I want to do and I want to put up there and I want to view with a variety of members of the channel. And I'll be doing one of those this week. So just letting you know that. But thank you so much, bud, for joining. Who was that? Edward Jordan. Thank you, sir. Here's a little smoke of the pipe. I don't have my gifts up yet, but you can get a little smoke of the pipe there, buddy. There you go. I got to tell you guys something real quick before we start. I got so high yesterday. I didn't want to. That was not my goal. What ended up happening was I picked up a cartridge for the battery. And they were out of, I think it's called Stizzy, which is the kind of carts we usually buy. And I didn't buy Stizzy this time. I bought something else. And I just like, and it was one of the batteries that heats up. And I've never had that before. And I said to the guy, I said, well, what happens when you heat up the battery? He says, oh, it just makes it more potent. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I hold it down until it gets real hot. I'm like, I guess that's how you do it. That knocked me for a loop. I'd never been so high in my goddamn life. I didn't like it. I don't like being that high. It's too much. I don't know why I'm telling you that story. Oh, because I just gave Edward a little bit of the pipe. There you go, sir. Listen, let's talk about what happened today in the industry as a whole, because this shit is not good. This shit is not good. And it's just bizarre and it's disturbing and it's just worth discussing. Okay, let me bring this up for all of us to see. And we will begin our little show. Not that we haven't begun the show, but come on now. You have to have seen this. This is today's big news. Diablo 4 director among 3 employees suddenly ousted at Blizzard. Okay, this is what I was talking earlier about I forget which caller it was. It was That's a Bingo. Cannibal Lecter. Basically, you had the director. All these guys were in that Cosby suite. You had Jesse McCree, who's namesake in the game, who's lead level designer. You had Louis Barriga, who's the game director of Diablo. And you also had World of Warcraft designer Jonathan LeCraft. Were all let go of Blizzard today. No one has said why they were let go, but the studios have been informed that they have. Okay, so whatever. I mean, I'm sure these guys deserve to be let go of. There's no surprise here, given that, you know, these aren't random people. These are people that were peripherally involved, not named, but on the outskirts of the lawsuit. They've been in these pictures. It makes a lot of sense. It's not hard to assume these are some of the guys that are problematic. But that said, though, I agree with Saad Khan in the chat. He says these are the fall guys for Bobby the Devil Kotick. I mean, that's the goddamn truth. That's goddamn truth. You know, it's like, okay, I'm glad these guys are gone. But this just feels like, it's like, you know what, man? I just think, you know, the stockholders are, I don't know how long the stockholders are going to have a problem, but there's a lawsuit going on from the stockholders now. Sponsors were pulling out this weekend from some of Activision's esports. And then I'm also seeing, it's been interesting. I don't know how long any of this will sustain. But I'm seeing a lot of posts from major video game websites. Like today they were talking about Diablo 2 had a re-render of the opening. And that was like the news. And these news sites were tweeting about it and giving links to it without any context of what's happening at Blizzard. And I'd say 85% of the comments were like, yeah, I'm not buying shit from Blizzard right now. Not till they fix their shit. And so I don't know if there's going to be long-term ramifications, but I hope there are. And again, Kotick was presiding over all of this. If he doesn't get ousted, unless there's some major evidence that he had no clue. I mean, even when Mike Morhaime was told by his assistant this shit was going on, it's going to be hard to believe any of this shit is genuine. Yeah, Sumo says they got caught up in the HR policy trap. Leadership knew what was going on and didn't care until it made the news. I think that's absolutely true. So why was there no reason for their firing, Patrick? I guess because that's what Patrick's asking. There doesn't have to be. I mean, it says employees were reportedly told about the news today, but were not given a reason for the departure. I mean, this is news because somebody reached out to the news people and said, hey, this is what happened. It's not like Activision, I don't believe, released a statement. Instead, in fact, Gamasutra says, we've reached out to Activision Blizzard and we'll update the story if they reply. And so far, they haven't yet. Okay, there you go. But there's more. This is just the tip of it today, baby. Apex Legends. This one's fascinating to me. And this is Activision as well, by the way, right? Is Apex EA? I always get these mixed up. Apex Legends is EA, actually, right? Because Apex Legends are the guys who did Call of Duty, and then they did Respawn, right? Yeah. So this is not Activision. This is EA. But Apex Legends lead game designer fired for remarks he made in 2007. This happened today as well. This one's a little weirder because you're talking about something that happened 13 years ago. And somebody who was kind of out for this guy, according to him, made a video. And I'll put a link. I mean, here's the video right now if you want to go watch it. But it's pretty long and you can scrub through it. But he put he went to his bosses and said, that's not the video. What is that? What is this? That's not what I want to show you. Okay, so there's the link. Okay, he showed his boss. He says, "Look, somebody's kind of out to get me, man, and this is stuff I did say this, but I said this 13 years ago." And he's like, "I'm not that guy anymore." He says, "I take full ownership for what I said. I'm embarrassed, sad, angry at my younger self for saying this stuff. I hope it's obvious I don't believe these things anymore." And, you know, his colleague, who's the director of communications at Respawn, said, and I think most would agree with this, regarding the comments, I don't think anything from 2007 reflects on a person in 2021. People grow up, and accusing him of possible sexual assault, which the video does, is over the line. You should never say stuff like that without evidence. So it's really, this one doesn't really work for me. I mean, I don't have a problem if you are being let go of because you've done some awful things, like you've sexually harassed people or what have you, or you've done worse, assaulted people. But a guy who 13 years ago, you know, I don't know how old he is today, but let's assume he was in his 20s 13 years ago, some young kid making stupid, and I've seen the comments, you can see him on the video. They're racist, they're sexist, they're misogynistic, they're not good. But it's a little weird. It's a little fucking weird. But clearly, you know, I don't know if they're going to do like a Disney thing like with James Gunn and hire him back and go, yeah, we kind of overstepped. EA says the comments are disturbing. We certainly don't condone the point of view. Our human resource department is aware and investigating. It's like, yeah, but why would you let him go then? And I want to make sure he was fired, right? He didn't leave. He was fired. Yeah, game designer fired for remarks he said. But let's just make sure here. Hang on a second. The headline says fired, but the story says lead game designer has left Respawn following the discovery of offensive blog posts from 2007. But where does it say he was fired? Or did he leave? Or yeah, I'm not sure where the verb is that suggests that EA was the one that pushed him out and fired him. EA was aware of the allegation he says, this is the guy, and I specifically asked them to be on the lookout for these strategies being used against other employees in the future. Okay. EA has not made a statement, so I don't know. Go to his Twitter to see his micro meltdown. Okay, let's go see. What's this guy's name? Let's check it out real quick. Daniel Klein. Copy. Daniel Klein. I mean, you know, what he said was awful, but, you know, it was a long time ago. Are people not allowed to change and adjust? I'll have to look it up. As of last Friday, I'm no longer working at Respawn. I want to be open here and say I'm heartbroken and depressed. I wished I could take time to decompress. That's not how my brain works. I have crippling anxiety, and if I don't at least start looking for a new job, the anxiety will eat me alive. You may or may not have seen that awful bigoted things I said in 2007. This is him talking. I wholeheartedly agree that guy should have been fired. I have poured so much energy into becoming a better person since then, and right now I'm just very depressed because it feels I'll never be able to make up for who I was. I'm not saying EA or Respawn did anything untoward. They were absolutely within their rights to terminate me. So he's saying they did. No, well, I think they're in California. They're within your rights to terminate you if they don't like the shoes you're wearing, I think. But no, I think it's ridiculous that this guy was fired. I mean, I think there is a point where, you know, and that's kind of why the title of this is, or the suggestion of this is, the games industry's a dumpster fire. Because on one hand, it's like, okay, yeah, let's get rid of these abusers at Blizzard, but maybe it should go higher, like up to Kotick. But regardless, that's a good thing. But it's almost like the industry doesn't, I mean, this is like no shit, Jeffy. It's almost like the industry doesn't care. They only care, what they really care about is not wanting to get their hands caught in the cookie jar, right? It's not about, we really want this to be a better place for our employees. I'm sure that's what it's about for some people. But I think for a lot of these companies, they're just like, how do we get ahead of this PR nightmare, right? So in the case of what's happening over at EA with Respawn, it's like, you can be a progressive, forward-thinking company that is pro-human and pro-equality and pro-building a workplace people want to work in, but there's nuance. The idea that there's zero tolerance. Now, again, we don't know the whole story, but based on this story, there should be some nuance here. There's a better way to handle this than just go, nope, you're fired. You said something. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, man. 13 years ago? What's the statute of limitations on being a fucking young, stupid kid? I don't understand that. Beat says it would be tough for black people to work for you if what he said was too offensive. I mean, it might, but again, I mean, you know, at that point, then where does it start and stop? Is it like if you're 18, once you're officially an adult and you go on the record and say something and 15 years later, you're obviously not some stupid punk frat dude saying crap. You've learned, you've grown, you've matured. And it's like, yeah, well, you said this 15 years ago and I'm a Jewish guy and you made anti-Semitic remarks. Sorry, you can't work here. I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, Chris, you're right. What's the point of growing as a person if you will be destroyed for your past anyway? Yeah, it's insane. It's utterly insane. Jarvie, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, people deserve to change and not be judged by something that was from the past. They should be judged at what they're doing now. Right. I mean, I think there are degrees, right? If you rape somebody or you physically assaulted somebody at work 10 years ago, I think that becomes a little bit, it's like, well, rape, certainly. But I think that becomes a very different conversation. But if you said some things when you were younger that were stupid, in the last 5 years of your life, it's clear that's not who you are anymore. I think then you get into a really, I think it just makes EA actually come off as tone deaf. You know, it's all business, says CK47. They can't afford the controversy. Well, I understand that, but it's getting to a point, though, that this is going to be controversial in its own right. If this doesn't come back and bite EA in the butt, there's a real fucking problem. But the video's up. Here's the link one more time. I mean, I'm not making light of this. What he said was awful. What he said was terrible. But you know, it was a long time ago. Allow the kid to fucking grow up a little bit. Here we go. Let's keep going. The dumpster fire is just rolling down the road. It didn't stop today. It was full steam today, baby. This is a picture by this guy's great, Alex Hutchinson, I think his name is. Here. Let me give you a little bit of his story. This is a guy, man. This is a guy who really steps in it a lot. He was one of the heads of Typhoon Studios. They made some game people seem to like. I've never played it. Stadia purchased them, and then Stadia, which we'll talk about in a second, shut down. And now they formed a new company called I don't fucking know, Raccoon Logic, right? Just if you need any evidence that it's hard to name a company because there's already everything that's been taken and trademarked, all you have to know is Raccoon Logic is what they decided. If that was their very first suggestion as a company to their lawyer, I would be absolutely stunned that was their first choice. But anyway, so they're making the circuit right now, saying, "Hey, look at us, we're Raccoon Logic." I guess he turned his account off. This is us. And so here they are, a bunch of dudes, bunch of white dudes look like in their 20s, early 30s. And Jason Schreier, little fucking asshole Jason Schreier, who I do not like at all. It's pretty wild that in 2021, a new game studio still looks like this. So he's stirring up the pot. Back in the day, he says, I used to have a podcast, this is still Schreier, that was just two dudes. It was good, and then we added a woman. It got exponentially better. Turns out different perspectives improve your product. In other words, anyone who responds with all that matters is game quality is getting blocked. First off, Jason Schreier, nobody gives a fuck. You know what happened, Jason Schreier, since you blocked me about 4 months ago when you and I got into it? You know how my life has changed? It hasn't. I haven't missed your stupid fucking tweets. And what are you? Great, you fucking idiot moron. I know the guy just had a kid, and I'm not sharing any private information. He was public about it. What a horrible father this guy is probably going to make. It's like anything his kid comes up and it's like the father. But I said it. Blocked. But Dad, I'm your kid. Fine, you go to your room. Anything that you say that is against me or anything that you question, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. What is your problem? Right? But end of the day, Alex Hutchinson, whatever the fuck his name is, he's a guy who said some stupid things in the past. He has. I'm not defending that at all. And my understanding is they do have, I think it's a woman who's one of their key producers. She wasn't available for the picture, blah, blah, blah. But still, a bunch of people came down on these guys today because of the Schreier thing. And it's like, you know what, man? I don't know if this is a good look, frankly, for Jason Schreier. Because it's like, yes, a company, there should be more diversity in video games. There is absolutely no doubt. There should be more black folks and Asian folks and women and gay folks and trans folks and in all of this, 100%. Jews and Muslims, all up and down the board. Why not? That'd be perfect. The more views you have, as long as those views are all managed in a way that it doesn't just become too many cooks in the kitchen, what a great thing for creativity for the most part. But just because you've got a company with not many people, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it's like 23 people. The vast majority of people who work in the industry right now are a bunch of white dudes, okay? That's not necessarily, unless you're a real racist company, consciously or unconsciously intentional. We hired the best people we could find and afford at Bartlett Jones, and we had a very diverse office for a small office. Of 27 people, we did not have a black individual, but we had women, and we had a bunch of LGBT different people on that alphabet. We had different religions. We had atheists. We had conservatives. It just was, we hired the best people that we could find. But the idea of, I'm not saying I'm pro or con when it comes to I think you have to get a little more nuance when you say, are you pro or con affirmative action? I think we are a racist country. I think we are a misogynistic country. And the more things we can do to help even the playing field, the better. But I think you have to still be nuanced when you're talking about what those activities ultimately are that you're going to bring to light to try to make things more fair. So to be Jason Schreier, it's like, unless he interviewed these guys and says, these guys are a bunch of 20 to early 30 something white dudes because XYZ, which where XYZ is equivalent to them being, anti-diverse, then it seems very irresponsible for a quote professional, end quote reporter to publish something like this, suggesting that this is a company that is kind of run afoul because he doesn't see what he wants to see in the goddamn picture. Sod says, if you did not have a black developer, then you failed in the eyes of Jason. Look, let me just say something. As you shouldn't, I don't think, we never looked at resumes and said, oh, we need to know your race or your gender or your sexual identity. We're just like, can you program? Can you do art? How would we know? So the programmers called in were the people the programmers called in based on a resume that was totally free of any of those sort of identifying factors. So this concept that, I don't, unless you want resumes to start asking, hey, we're hiring a Jew and 2 black people and a trans male, please put that on your resume. I don't know what they would suggest you do. So Controller Sport says, if you can't find one black person, you're not looking hard enough. I wasn't looking at all. I wasn't thinking about race. Now, I know people would say that's the problem. And I appreciate that. I absolutely appreciate that point of view. I think that's a valid point of view, and it's a correct point of view. But when I say I wasn't thinking about race, meaning, how do you do that without getting into some kind of legal hot water? Do you call a headhunter and say, I would like you to send over black candidates? I don't think that's legal, is it? I mean, I want you to send me only women candidates, or, hey, can you find out if the people you represent are gay? I mean, I don't know how you do that. What kind of boy band am I making? I don't know. It's all me. It's all going to be me clone. It's going to be fantastic. Do you get to tick all the boxes if you find a Jewish, trans, gay, Muslim who identifies as black, says Scott? I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you do. Again, I don't want to get into this because there's more news like this. Whereas Maximilian says, I completely believe in merit. Yeah, I believe in merit as well, but I also believe that we're a racist country and we're a misogynistic country and we're a homophobic country. And ultimately, if it was just merit, if that was literally what people were being judged on, sure, I would agree with that as well. I think most people would. But given the fact that we have still a great many problems in this country that revolve around race and misogyny and sexism and things like that, I as much as I only believe in merit, I also think we have to have some levers in place that can be pulled in order to level the playing field, or it simply isn't fucking fair. If a lot of people love each other, says Bukaki, the world would be a better place. Well, it would, but to love someone else, you got to love yourself first, and that's where it becomes problematic. All right, let us move on, but it's all related. We're going to move on, but we're not going to get too far out from there. Look at this. This is, industry vets respond to pushback. So a lot of industry people were like, yes, what I didn't like about this article, this was a Gama Sutra article covering what we just talked about, the Jason Schreier photo. Is this article in Gama Sutra just makes some crazy assumptions. He says, this is from the article, he says, additionally, Raccoon's logics enjoinders to us and to Twitter to send us your VC speaks to how ineffectively companies of all sizes have attempted to respond to concerns about diversity for years. We can't find enough diverse candidates is a common refrain among employers, like I just told you. Yet more and more candidates from all kinds of backgrounds circulate through the hiring pool all the time. That's a pretty big statement. And you're writing an article, and it's not an opine, it's not an opinion piece, it's a news piece. So Where is your source to back that up? He says, yet more and more candidates from all kinds of backgrounds circulate through the hiring pool all the time. Says who? And can you, if you're providing a public service, can you help us find them? When I was at Bartlett Jones, if somebody would have pulled me aside and said, you know what, we don't have enough black folks in games. We don't have enough Muslim folks in games. I would say, you know what, that's a good point. Is there something we can do that's fair but helps level the playing field? And if they would have said, oh, well, let me send you to this source that the Kama Sutra article writer is using that says, where he says more and more candidates from all backgrounds are circulating through the hiring pool all the time, I'd be like, great. But that's a pretty big statement he's putting out into the world without offering any kind of sources, is all I'm fucking saying. That's a little weird. It's a little goddamn weird. This is all leading to something. I got two more stories that are related but different. That's all leading to something I saw from Naughty Dog. Okay, so there's a reason all these are bunched up together at the beginning of the show tonight. This goes, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to say it. This goes to incompetence. Okay, this goes to incompetence, and the leadership should fucking be ashamed. And I'm not going to name names. There's one name, and you know what? I'm going to name names. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can read the fucking between the lines. Look. I've always gotten along with Phil Harrison. I like Phil Harrison. He's a good guy. He's a nice fellow. He's really smart. I have respect for the guy. But you know what? This is the headline that comes out today. Now let's assume this is true. And all I can tell you is I know people that were at Stadia pretty high up, and this echoes the same thing they told me. One second. You say you want diverse candidates, says Sumo, and then apply merit to the process. Is it really a mountain to climb? Oh, well, yeah, sure, Sumo. If you can do that, part of it, you know what? Part of it also is kind of a sticky widget in the sense that, a lot of people hire their friends, not because they're anti-Jew or anti-Muslim or anti-trans, but because it's like, oh, I worked with this guy before. He's awesome. And it kind of perpetuates itself, not because it's racist, but, But yeah, if you're saying there's a process, Sumo, by which to do it, yeah, and I wasn't aware of that. Trust me, the only person you'll find out there that is well, that's not true. I can't really say that for a fact, but let's just say, if you think I'm progressive and leftist and all that nonsense, then you ain't met Nick Kononellos, who ran Bartlett Jones with me and who was the producer and who is now over at That's No Moon, okay? Trust me, if he or I knew about this, that we could do that, we would have done that. We would have absolutely done that. Well, Sumo, that's not entirely true. Sumo says, and there it is, Jaffe, gaming is closed. It's who you know. That doesn't mean gaming is closed. I didn't know anybody in gaming. A lot of people don't know anyone in gaming. But certainly, if you're a startup and you're like, shit, we're scrappy. We're going to have to do 5 jobs per person because we're trying to compete and we don't have a lot of money and we're enticing people to come into our startup through stock options and things. You're going to want to bring people on that you've worked with before that you know in order to lower the risk that your startup that you have literal investment in is going to do well. That doesn't mean you don't want to hire diverse candidates. It just means that it's like, shit, we could take a chance on this senior programming role, but, Fred is coming free at Activision, or he left Activision because he hates all the shit that's happening over there. Fuck, I've worked with him on 2 games, and he's amazing. Oh, fuck it. Get Fred, man. So it's a little, good night, Jimmy Gilchrist. Good to see you, buddy. It's a little hard to know exactly where the industry is closed and where it's just a practical outcome. And if you're not in the industry, you've got to kind of work harder to get in, regardless of your, race or religion or anything. Okay. Controller Sports says, why don't devs have any black friends? I'm sure they do. I have a couple of black friends, but they're not programmers. I know a designer in the industry who's a black guy. I know a senior designer on God of War. One of the lead gameplay director is a black dude. I know a producer who's a black guy. But if we're talking about programming, I don't know any fucking programming. Black folks. I really don't. It doesn't mean they're not out there. Of course they are, but I don't know any of them. Anyway, the point is, let's go back to this though. I'm building a case. I'm building a case for the dumpster fire that is the industry. Okay, so Google comes out, or these ex Stadia devs from Google come out and they say, I'll show you the article. This came out today, and it says that Google scrapped Stadia Studios due to level of investment required to reach scale, say ex Stadia devs. And the reason I think this is incredibly irresponsible and this is incredibly unprofessional, and I have to lay it at the giant feet of Phil Harrison, who used to run PlayStation for a while, and then I think he went to, didn't he go to Microsoft for a little bit, and then he went to a fund, like a gaming fund, and then I think he came to Stadia. I like the guy. Smart guy, nice guy, good guy. But ultimately, this has to lay at his feet, because Phil knows what it takes to compete in AAA. Phil knows what this was going to take. And it was either his responsibility to let his bosses know the scope and the time investment, and he either didn't know, which speaks terribly about his qualifications for that role, or he did know, and that speaks terribly about his ability to manage expectations of his bosses. And so imagine the number of people that quit jobs and move to work at these Google startups. And it's like, you know, in video games, man, it's always like, it's a very, you never know how long you'll be employed at any one place. And you go to your husband, you go to your wife, is this a good job? It's Google. They're not going anywhere, man. If this works, they're not, there's nobody would have thought that Google, one of the most profitable companies on the planet, would be like, yeah, we decided that's too expensive. And not because they weren't making any money in Stadia, but because how was it not brought to their attention that these AAA games, to compete, you need, $160 million, and that, and you need probably 3.5, 4 years. And that's for one game. How was this surprising to anybody? So there's one. I'll give you one more. This one's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Streamer Dr. Disrespect is starting up a new game studio. This is the worst idea in the history of bad ideas. Okay? And these are all related. If you can't find the thread yet, get ready. Get ready. I'll share it with you in a moment. It's not that I have a problem that Dr. Disrespect wants to make games. Dr. Disrespect, actually, if I remember correctly, was a level designer at Activision or Respawn or whatever on the Call of Duty games. The guy's been in game development to some degree. I'm not opposed to the guy. I don't really care for his character, but not everyone's supposed to. But the idea, though, that you're going to bring together a bunch of people who are influencers and who want to make their dream games, and even though there will be a head of studio that they're looking for at a production level, it's going to be headed up by this guy. I mean, this is an industry that is maturing, and this has just shit show written all over it. It's like, if you want to go make a game, Disrespect, go make a game. If you want to fund a game, go fund a game. But building a studio, partnering, it says, with a select list of mega influencers who will work closely with the studio to launch their dream game. It reminds me of when I first started in video games and I didn't know shit. Okay, so I went to these meetings, even though I was in a position of authority and power, because these developers were working for Sony. I would go to these meetings, and I had never made a game in my life. I had made a bunch of student films and studied film and shit, and I thought I was the director, and they were just there to do what I said. And I didn't know the limits. I didn't know the technology. I didn't understand the process. And so I'm just there like, I wanted this and I want this and I want this. And I was a nightmare to work with. And the idea that you're going to get a bunch of mega influencers from Twitch and YouTube to come together and make their dream games, and you're going to have these studio people that are just there, oh, please tell us, Dr. Disrespect, what should we do next? What happens at this part in your magnum opus, sir? It's just more shit, okay? This industry is just, I don't understand why it's so poorly run at this point. Then this comes out today. Now, this is what got me into the lather. It got me worked up, fellas. By the way, Rez, thank you so much. He says, hey, Jaffe, hope you're keeping well, dude. Thank you for the beers. Thank you for the super chat. I'm keeping very well. I hope you are as well, sir. Nice to see you, and thanks for your generosity, bud. Naughty Dog comes out today. And they're like, hey, we're hiring all these open positions, and there's a shit ton of them. And that's fine. That's absolutely, of course it's fine. They're a great company, probably one of the best. Well, they're definitely one of the best developers on the planet. They may very well be the best developer in terms of executing on a vision on the planet. There's no doubt that if they're not number one, they're in the top 3, okay? And as I've said, if somebody wants to work at Naughty Dog now, after knowing what kind of work that is and knowing what kind of crunch they deal with and what kind of stress they put themselves under, then go with God. I think there's a total time in people's lives who do creative and technical work where this is the kind of challenge they want for all variety of reasons. But it just, I mean, between this and then looking at the Dr. Disrespect studio and why Google shut down Stadia and then all of this harassment and lack of diversity and how EA handled these 13-year-old statements totally wrong, and how Diablo's director was let go, which is great, but how ultimately they probably are going to have to clean house at an executive level to get the rot out of Activision Blizzard. It's just one more indication to me that if you want to make games, get yourself a copy of Unity, get yourself a copy of Unreal, get yourself a copy of Game Maker, get a couple of friends together on the internet, and just go make your fucking game. Because I don't know why in the fuck anybody would be on the outside of this industry looking in and saying, that's the place for me. It sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare, frankly. Encryption says, hire your friends, ad shouldn't start a gaming company. Man, the industry is closed to outsiders. The industry is not closed to outsiders. That's simply not true. You are going to be more apt to be hired based on who you know, but that's any industry. That is absolutely any industry. I mean, that's not, people hire people they know. But that doesn't mean that the game industry has not historically pushed people out. What's wrong with the industry isn't frat boy culture, says Doug. It's agenda-driven journalists constantly spamming hit pieces and profiting from the outrage of creating weekly villains to dogpile upon. I mean, that is a problem, but I don't think Jason Schreier releasing an article today about how awful this new Raccoon Logic studio is in terms of their lack of diversity comes anywhere close to taking a picture of a woman's vagina and sending it around a Christmas party at Activision and being one of the contributing factors to why she killed herself. So, I don't know if I agree. So Rotten says that's what Dr. Disrespect is trying to do, meaning he's trying to just get his friends together and make games. Okay, but that's different. There's a difference between getting a bunch of money, hiring a studio head, hiring a lot of people, and basically running a company before you've ever made your own soup to nuts video game in your life. There's a difference between what he's doing and going, you know what? I really love video games. Let me take some time to learn how to make one and get a couple of friends, and maybe something will come out of that. They're very different things. You start a studio built on the foundation of it's going to be creatively driven by people who have never had any idea what's going on. And you tell those people, those influencers, those mega influencers, that you're in control and it's your dream game. Good luck having a healthy work environment. Good luck having a great programmer, great artist, great game director or art director, great designers who want to come on and work on PewDiePie's dream game. It's like, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. So you are thinking from a U.S.-centric view, Jaffe, says Patrick. Do you have the same thoughts on OUS industry? I don't know what an OUS industry stands for. What does OUS stand for? Encryption says, but he was a level designer. He probably knows who to hire and who to talk to. Well, okay. I mean, maybe. Look, I don't want to see anybody fail, but this sounds like a bad fucking idea. If it was, I'm Dr. Disrespect, I made a shit ton of money, and I have this money and I want to open up a small indie dev studio to try to make some games, I think that would be great. But this is, I'm Dr. Disrespect. I made a ton of money. I'm going to hire someone to run my studio. It's going to be creatively driven by people who are successful on Twitch and YouTube, and they are going to be here to make their dream games. I think that just has red flags written all over the goddamn wall, which I don't know, red flags don't get written on the wall, but you know what I'm saying. Why are you about the... Raphael, you're missing a couple of words in there. I know you're missing a verb. You may be missing an article. He says, what you think about future of game industry? Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. In fact, I will show you the future of the game industry, at least at the AAA game industry. I will give you an idea in just a moment. Outside US, what do I think about the industry? I mean, I think it's all the same. I think if you're talking about big companies, a lot of these things that are happening in Canada, the Ubisoft shit is happening over in Europe. Anytime you get these big companies that have been around for a long time, I think you have a real problem, but you're seeing that all over the place, man. Okay, I want to tell you though, another thing about video games and AAA games. I'm going to show you something in a second that I think is going to make you go, that's if you're a console gamer especially, it's a little interesting. But first, I got to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something real quick that is near and dear to my old pirate heart. My favorite sandwich is a peanut butter sandwich, sir. That's the goddamn truth. Here we go. Well, come on, man. Who is always looking out for you? Who is always keeping track of your life, watching from on high to make sure you're having the best time in your adventure on Earth? It's me, it's your Papa Jaffe. I want to tell you about something I just found out about. I want to tell you about a new podcast that's out there. It's called The Leadist. The Leadist, baby. It is a new podcast where three friends, and then they bring on a rotating guest. Maybe they'll bring me on sometime. I'd do this. This sounds like a great show. Listen to this. It's three pals and a rotating guest. They play games about games, right? The Leadist podcast, they put their own spin on trivia, classic game shows, board games, video games, and debate battles on a variety of video game topics. Let me say that again so you understand what they're doing. They literally have a podcast where you listen in and they are playing games about video games, okay? The guys at The Leadist are coming up with new games all the time, and they want your help with game ideas too. Now, you can drop these fellas a line on Twitter. Here's how you get there. You go to @TheLeadist. Let me spell it for you. @ the little symbol, you know what I'm talking about. It's @ and then The Leadist. LEETIST. At The Leadist, and you can send them your original game ideas, trivia questions, debate topics for a chance to hear your creations on the show. And you know, you goddamn right, that's going to come with an epic shout out, of course, when you listen to the podcast where they use your idea and make you famous. Now listen, check the show's Twitter feed now to find the Google form. This is a great form, by the way, for their upcoming video game Family Feud. They have these great questions. It's a really cool survey that you can fill out about things like, what's the best dungeon in the Legend of Zelda series? What's the toughest monster to kill in the Resident Evil franchise? And then they're going to take those answers and use them for the surveys in the video game Family Feud episode coming up very soon. The latest podcast, y'all so-and-sos, that's games about games. And you can find it now on all major podcast platforms. So, listen, says The Legend of Zelda. This is This is...
Amazing we're still on the air.
Hey! This is the survey. I'm going to put it in the link right now. They are collecting answers for their Family Feud episode. Here you go. And again, it's not Major Pest says, I was just thinking I needed another podcast of random dudes talking about topics they're poorly informed about. Again, just letting you know, that's not what this is. This is a literal podcast of games that allow you to play along with the podcast about trivia for video games and various things like that. It's not just a bunch of guys going, did you see the news this week? Give it a listen, see what you think. But there's the survey. Fill out the survey. It's a lot of fun. All right. I want to show you guys this because this kind of goes a little bit to what we were talking about. These are, tell me if you notice something here. Let's just look at America and Canada, or North America. Well, let's look at United States and Canada. All right. PlayStation 5 games. Check it out. These are the top 20 games. These are on the PlayStation Store downloaded. If you are looking for a commonality in these games, the one that jumps out to me immediately is the fact that, boy, these are old games, right? I mean, there's some new things in there for sure. And I understand people are still getting PS5s and they want to buy the mainstays. I get it. I understand why that's part of it. But when you're still dealing with Avengers at number 20, Valhalla at 18, when you're dealing with Miles Morales makes sense because it's kind of the premier title, so I get why people are buying that as they acquire new PlayStations. Jedi Fallen Order, Demon's Souls, It Takes Two, which is a brilliant fucking game. The point of this, it's not just that they're multi-platform, though. It's that you are seeing less and less games being created in the AAA space. And you saw this if you ever went to E3. And I've talked about this before a handful of times, that you would walk the show floor at first and it was just bursting at the seams with new games you'd never heard of. And over time, you could literally see, I mean, it was physically represented that you could see the number of booths that were simply going away and the number of games on display that were simply going away. And the games are costing a lot more, and so they're making a lot less of them. And so your top 20 is not necessarily your top 20 because these represent the very best and brightest. Sometimes that's the case. But a big part of it is that these represent the fact that they're not making as many fucking games as they used to. And Beat says COVID. This has nothing to do with COVID. This was in play well before COVID. This canary in the coal mine has been singing probably since, or not singing, probably since I started to notice it in like 2010 when we first came out with Twisted Metal on the stage. And so I was walking the show floor and I was with some friends. I was like, doesn't this seem smaller than usual? And they were like, yeah. And then each subsequent year, it was more and more and more. So yeah, the AAA space is, when somebody was asking, what do I think about the future of games? I think the future of games is very bright. I think there are some of the coolest games being made right now, but unless you're looking for these big budget hits, which are wonderful, by the way, I think you're going to have to get used to those being fewer and far between. So there you go. Do you want to talk about that? Nah, not really. Let's get to some fun news real quick. Let's get to some fun fucking news. Let me get this call, then I want to talk about some fun shit. Hang on a second. If Sony had sense, Brian King says, they'd acquire more of the key best devs and make sure they control most of the best games. I don't think that Sony would not do that. I think it's a question of money. I think it's a question of money and a question of culture. But yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely true. Sod Khan says, I'm surprised Marvel's Avengers is in the top 10. Well, I mean, they always get a bump, especially War for Wakanda just came out. And that is going to do, that's already upping their numbers. But all you have to do is look at the concurrence. Every time any game, certainly Avengers gets new dump of info or content, Red Room or Hawkeye or whatever, you'll get a bump. But, and Wakanda's their biggest DLC they've ever had for this game. And there's story content and stuff. So I understand why, but You know, it's going to go back down like it always does, unless they've really finally fixed it and cracked the nut. But what do you think says fluffier about the metaverse Epic Games and the gaggle of companies working with them would be building? I mean, you know, I loved Ready Player One. I love the idea of an actual Oasis. I love that Home might be coming back. I love that Epic's talking about it. So yeah, I mean, the idea of living in virtual reality even more and having, if you don't know, like metaverse, the big takeaway of the metaverse is a lot of this, the financial system is linked, intellectual properties are linked. It basically is the Oasis, right? So you can have your avatar. I have no idea how they're going to handle the legal stuff, but you know, Fortnite's kind of handling it with Superman and Marvel characters and all this other shit in there, Snake Eyes from Hasbro. But it's going to be a little weird that you're walking around and it's like Ready Player One where all these different intellectual properties are just mixing and matching. Assuming they can get past that though, yeah, it is like VR chat. But the difference though, Bukaki, is it's all, because Facebook's trying to do this as well. It's not just that it's a chat room. It's like it's all of your shit that's currently on the internet like this. It just all goes virtual, basically. That's all it is. I mean, it's basically your chat rooms and your business work and your games and your news. It's all in a physical space, basically. I don't agree with you, Frankie Beans. Frankie Beans says gaming has never been so dull. I think you potentially mean console gaming, because gaming is fascinating on PC and other places. I have not played Grime yet. It looks great, Patrick. Is Michael Mumbauer in here? I think Brian's talking to Mumbauer. Where'd he go? Where's Mumbauer? Hang on. Mumbauer, why don't you get on the phone and call me, Mumbauer? Get on that goddamn phone. Oh, there's the chat. Call in, Mumbauer. You were about to bring up a point, says Yeager, when you showed the Naughty Dog listings, but you started discussing another article. No, my point was that basically here you have this hiring advertisement and all this shit that we've been talking about how fucked the business is just, it's just amazing that Naughty Dog, and they're probably right, is thinking that they're going to be able to hire all these people. Look at the slate. Look at how many jobs that are open for August. I didn't count them, but there's probably 60 people on this list, 50 people on this list they got to hire. I mean, come on, man. The fact that they're going to be able to fill this, given how shit the industry is, come on, man. Come on, man. I'd like Mumbauer to call in because I want to ask Mumbauer about how he's planning to do his new company, That's No Moon, different. I want to know, right? Because you're flying into the shitstorm, Mumbauer. P Turtle. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's P Turtle. What's up, man?
Yo.
How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, Jackie?
Well, I'm doing a show.
My bad. You said what? I didn't hear you.
I said I'm doing a show. What's going on? What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to speak about how not only is the business of gaming dying and it's going to get even worse, I want to also speak about how things like the Blizzard situation is going to be one of the reasons why it's for sure going to die.
Wait, what's going to die? I'm confused.
Gaming, well, the integrity of gaming and just good gaming development and good games in general. That stuff is going to die. I mean, right now we're already at that point where it's going to die. But when I look at the Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too stuff, right?
Yep.
Movies have gotten so much worse after that whole situation happened. Every movie was bombarded with how, men are bad, and they had all these messages about men groping women, and it was just terrible, and it ruined everything. And now with this whole Blizzard thing getting bigger than ever, and this woman allegedly killing herself because of it or something, or possibly killing herself because it's going to ruin every big AAA gaming. If you thought, well, not you, but or any real man out there like me thought that, gaming was already neutered and it was just being made for like weirdos, it's going to get worse now. I mean, they're going to send a whole bunch of Naughty Dog's next game's probably going to star a black Jewish trans midget. and it's just gonna be
Why is that bad?
Well, because what would inspire anybody to create a game when there's games that I grew up on like Doom and stuff like that? I'm now gonna want to play as a Jewish transsexual midget. Why?
Why would you?
Unless it's a comedy.
Why? What's funny about being Jewish?
Not about being Jewish. I'm just.
What's funny about being trans? What's funny about being trans?
No, it's funny.
What's funny about being a little person?
I'm talking about if you combine all three to show how forced diversity is.
Well,
I mean, come on, man, that's crazy.
Why?
Are you kidding me, Blind? Listen, people play games and people watch movies for escapism.
That's one of the reasons, sure.
The reason. Listen, people play Doom. People play Gears of War, which they neutered Gears of War now, right?
How did they neuter Gears of War?
I don't know, because maybe Gears 5 was starring a girl named Kate who's crying about her mom the whole game. When the originals was like football players who were like Jim Brown, just joining a squad of military men, just shooting shit up and laughing and high-fiving. Now we got to play as some mopey woman crying about mommy and putting every guy in his place. Come on, man. You know it. Don't play dumb.
You are such a caricature. You know you are.
No, I'm being that serious. This is gonna ruin the gaming industry.
I played Gears 5. I enjoyed Gears 5 a great deal. You know what I think it really is? I think it is that, oh, shut up. One above all says, dude's spitting. He's spitting cum out of his fucking mouth from his father. That's what he's spitting. Let me tell you something.
No, this is fire.
It's not fire. It's bullshit is what it is.
Okay.
Listen to me. The idea, I mean, seriously, the idea that you can't play a video game where the main hero is a female and she's great in that game. That's a really good game. Gears 5 is really fucking good. And you have a problem with it because, and look, I played the game. I haven't finished it, but I played about 9 hours of it. It's not like it's some kind of Hallmark Channel movie where she breaks down and cries about her fucking father or mother. She might have a
good amount of scenes of her crying about her mom.
I don't think that's accurate at all.
I've seen it.
But even if it is, Marcus Phoenix was a whole thing about he goes home. Didn't he go home and his home was destroyed or some such shit? Cliff Bleszinski literally says that the whole Marcus Phoenix arc was about the fact that his dad left when he was a kid. So don't act like the first Gears of War didn't have any kind of heart or any kind of pathos.
I'm talking about it was targeted at a specific demographic.
What demographic? A bunch of fucking knuckle-dragging morons that can't handle the fact that a woman has the gun and is the lead?
It's not about handling. It's about every franchise these days. They're shoehorning a quote-unquote strong woman to take lead for something that was created for boys and men.
It was not created for boys and for men.
It was.
Let me tell you something, bitch. I created one of the strongest, coolest, masculine protagonists on the planet that has ever existed in video games.
Sure did.
Okay? And I never once...
And they neutered him. They neutered him.
And I never once was sitting around going, I'm doing this for the boys. Ever. I was doing it. I did it because I thought it was cool. I was like, I like this guy. He's crazy. He's cool.
I agree. I don't think you consciously did it. But come on, man. You know who your demographic was. You know who you were making games for. You know what you thought. You're a weirdo today. You have lost your mind today. Who you were back in 3 or 5, whenever that game was made.
2004.
You probably had a whole different. Okay, 2004. You had a whole different mindset. That was, in line with what your audience wanted.
No.
It absolutely wasn't.
No, let me explain something to you. You don't understand.
Okay.
I have zero problem with the character that was Kratos. And I have said numerous times, because I get asked this a lot, if I were to make a new God of War, they're like, would you have sex in it? I'm like, yeah, I would. And I would have nudity and I would have violence because that's what I like about God of War. I'm not saying those games shouldn't exist, but I'm saying the idea that if you're going to make a game or any kind of art with a woman in it, and the idea that just the fact that she's a woman, you have a problem with it. It's just it's.
No, I'm not. Don't do that. Don't you do that. Don't do it. I'm talking about the franchise and what basically the franchise is. Okay, listen. I just heard the Doom Eternal.
No, but no, you're
director.
not. You know what? No, you're not.
Hold on.
No,
I
you're
just heard
not.
the Doom
Because
Eternal,
if you were okay, wait a minute. If you were suggesting, if you were on the argument of this franchise has already been established as X and now you want to change it to Y, and you think doing so, it's not coming from a place of creativity, it's coming from a place of, hey, I mean, it's all money anyway. These companies don't give a fuck. But if they think, hey, you know what?
Oh, they're tapping into the old woke stuff.
Okay, well, whatever. But I mean, ultimately, if they think that, hey, we're going to make a shit ton of money if we do Ghostbusters as women, then they'll try it. It's not for any other reason than that. Okay, but that said, though, the idea that the idea that if you have a new franchise and you have a problem, that's a bigger problem I have with you. When you just said Naughty Dog is, yes, you did. You said if Naughty Dog makes a new game and the protagonist is a Jewish, black, trans, little person, you would have a problem with it.
I'm saying it's possible we're getting there because this is how far.
But if it's a new if it's a new game, and if it's a new franchise called Lil Uzi Goldstein, okay, right? That's who it's about, and they're the new hotness. Who gives a shit?
It's not about who gives a shit. It's about what you could be creating and what you're wasting time putting out that's hurting the industry, hurting games.
How is it hurting the industry?
Is. Okay, listen, you just brought up Gears of War. I mean, I brought up Gears of War, but you spoke about how the fifth one is so good.
It is good.
That series is dying because of what they've been doing with the past two games. Absolutely dying. You cannot tell me Gears is as relevant today as it was when the first three games came out.
I sure cannot, but you know why that is? Come on now.
I know why that is.
No, you don't know that. No, you don't. Here's the reason why. The reason why is when Gears came out, Gears was a 360 phenomenon. It's just like games that come out now that are selling gangbusters on PS4 and PS5. Those games on PS3 would not have been, they would have been successful, of course. But Nathan Drake never sold as well on PS3 than he did on PS4. It has to do with people buying.
And that fourth one was trash.
I did not like the fourth one either, but it has to do with.
Wasn't his wife upset? Not because he went and lied and.
It has to do.
Because he never brought her.
It has to do with what system is selling and what's exclusive for that system. I'm not saying the game isn't relevant, but the idea that Gears wasn't relevant for 5, which was primarily released as an Xbox One X title. Yeah, because nobody had an Xbox One X. It wasn't because the game was shit.
And I'm saying nobody bought one after. Because nobody thought that system was worth a damn. Because what? I'm going to get Gears starring Kate? The crying protagonist who wants mommy back?
Did you even play that game?
Let me tell you, because I just got an Xbox Series X. I played some of it on Game Pass.
How much have you played?
I played maybe I might put 40 minutes, and I couldn't take it. My eyes were bleeding.
Okay, you don't know. You don't even know what you're talking about.
No, but
all right, Pete Turtle, I'm out. Do me one favor though. Do me one favor. I want you to say, Jerry, you're still my agent.
Jerry, you're still my agent.
You sound just like that motherfucker.
Well, I had like 6 things to talk about.
I don't give a shit. This is not the Pete Turtle show.
Get me off early.
This is not the Pete Turtle show. You can call back later. We'll just do a shoot the shit show. I got to keep things moving. Call back anytime. See you, buddy. All right, let me bring in Sumo. Sumo, it's Jaffe. What's up, man? How you doing? Where'd you go, Sumo? Sumo, are you there? Sumo. All right, well, you're on if you want to talk, buddy. Let me get some super chats real quick. Igor, thank you, bud. Igor says, bro on the call needs to leave his social bubble. Pete Turtle's out of his goddamn mind, sir. Sekiro Alpha Kenpachi, thank you for the super chat. I don't know, there's no sticker or anything, but thank you for your generosity. And then we got Magnum Visuals, thank you, sir. He says, look, man, It's all a business. They just want to attract more females to play their games. Yeah, who the fuck knows? I mean, but yeah, they're not sitting around. There are some companies. Most of those are kind of indie game companies that sit around and go, we want to express a very specific vision. But I assure you, when you get to the level that these games are at that we're talking about, it's about what they can sell. All right, what's up, Sumo? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How you been?
I've been pretty good. How you doing?
Doing all right. It's more about that P Turtle shit, honestly.
What about him? I mean, Pete Turtle's a troll. He may very well have a point, and he may believe his shit, but he's got a little shtick going, and it entertains the crowd. So I keep him on, you know.
Well, yeah, definitely. But he is parroting, you know, I think a perspective that's out there, which has always kind of confused me, because these same guys have no problem running around as a fucking blue hedgehog, but once they see lady muscles, like, their day's ruined.
It is so fucking weird, man. I've come to a conclusion that I don't think like a traditional guy, I guess, if that's how traditional guys think about, right? Because I'm just like, I mean, you know, I know, and maybe it's because you get older and you're not as, you know, testosterone fueled or what, but it's like they can't do anything if it's not attached to their desire to fuck a woman. It's like, can't you just play this character? I mean, she's cool. You don't have to want to fuck her in order to enjoy the game. You don't have to be attracted to Abby in Last of Us Part 2. You don't have to.
No, man. Do I shoot a gun in the game, or do I catch a ball? If I don't do either of those, man, it's not a game.
It's weird, though. Isn't it weird? Fuck you, Joey Pinoe, whatever the fuck your dumb name is. He says, get off your high horse. Isn't that funny that it's a high horse?
Spell his fucking name right.
Yeah, because it's not. It's a high horse because I'm basically saying I'm not a fucking knuckle-dragging mouth breather. That's not a high horse. That's just sort of a base level of normalcy that most folks should aspire to, sir.
Like somehow Gears, right? Like, these football players, but wasn't one of them crying over some woman, like, for 3 games?
I don't know. They're all fucking nuts, man. It's like just you know, I mean, look, I thought Claire in Resident Evil 2 remake was super hot, but you know, it's not like I go to my video games because
Watch out.
Huh?
Watch out, because that's a slippery slope, because it seems like you can't even express that. Like, oh, that game character is attractive.
Oh, I can express whatever the fuck I want to, but that's only because I have class privilege and nobody can cancel it.
Right.
And that's but you
know what I'm saying.
I do, but that's pathetic. But that's the goddamn truth. But the fact of the matter is yeah, they're, you know, and like I said, that's why I always make it clear. If I made God of War again, I'd totally, if I had the freedom, I would make it overtly sexualized, just like I made the first one. Because that's what I like about that game. But the idea that I can't enjoy a game because there's a more nuanced woman, I just think that's ridiculous. Even to the point, let me show you something on your screen which is related to this. You know, again, this is where I say I just don't know. I don't relate to the average guy. So Ariana Grande has her thing in Fortnite this weekend, and I downloaded it. I didn't play it. I just watched it with my kids eventually. But you can get an Ariana Grande skin. And in this article on Polygon about it, there's a quote that says, "It's really great to have a really well-made skin for the girls and the gays," Gil Cruz told Polygon. Cruz identifies as a member of the LGBT community and bought the Grande skin after seeing it announced. Well, I'm not a girl and I'm not gay, but I would much rather be running around as a hottie Ariana Grande than fucking Superman looking at his butt for 3 hours while I'm playing. I don't understand. I don't get most men. That's the goddamn truth. That's the goddamn truth.
That generational thing, man. I mean, I think when I was coming up playing Genesis and NES and all that old shit, Phantasy Star.
Right.
You're playing games with female characters, but you're at an age where that shit doesn't matter. Only when you're kind of trapped in your bedroom waiting for your birthday present console do you give a shit about that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, but Pete Turtle doesn't sound like he's 7.
He sure fucking acts like it.
He does act like it. That's not untrue. That's not untrue. All right, Sumo, thanks for calling as always, buddy. It's always good to talk to you. See you, man. Okay. But yeah, there's the Ariana Grande story. I was going to get to that. Would I play as Kratos in Fortnite? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Balta says, but that's the male gaze, Jaffe. So what? I don't care. I'm not going to... That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. I like looking at pretty women. I think Ariana Grande is really hot. If you gave me a choice between playing as Ariana Grande in Fortnite or Batman, I'm going to pick Ariana Grande. You know why? Because I'm not an idiot. I don't really think I'm Batman. I'm looking at an avatar. I'd rather look at an avatar that I find pretty. How is that weird? They should make Master Chief gay. What do you mean they should make him gay? Isn't he already? I thought Master Chief was gay. I thought it was Master Chef. Fuck you, Adversary 1. 50-year-old man playing as Ariana Grande in Fortnite is creepy. 50-year-old man playing Fortnite seriously is probably creepy. But you know, there you go. All right, let's move on. I want to ask you guys a question. Oh, shut up, Buka. You know what? I'm done. Fuck it. We're gonna have this conversation briefly. We're gonna have this conversation very briefly. Very goddamn briefly. This idea that a man gets to a certain age, I find it so backwards. Okay? The idea about going, of course, it's, you know, if you're an older guy and you're dating a much younger woman or vice versa. Afrali, thank you so much. That's the second super chat. I hadn't gotten to it yet. He just says Sanic. I don't know what that is, man, but I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the great videos you've been making too, sir. Thank you, buddy. But the idea, am I going to be careful? Brampton Bodman says, be careful. No, I'm not going to be careful. I'm done. I'm done with this bullshit. If you've got a crazy age and the people want to date, man, woman, man, whatever the fuck you got, they should be able to date. If people feel that there's a real problem with a 70-year-old man dating a 30-year-old, which I think is happening in some Hollywood couple right now, I forget who it is, or a 35-year-old man coveting an 18-year-old, then you know what? Maybe it's time to go to the polls and vote and make things illegal, because the legality in America is age of consent is 18. And the idea that a healthy straight man at any age is supposed to look at someone who's like 28, whatever Ariana Grande is, and say, well, you know, the math says she's too old, she's too young, and I'm too old. I'm not going to try to date the fucking woman. But to act like I'm some kind of pervert for just going, oh, she's really fucking hot. She is really fucking hot. That's part of her shtick. That's what she hires people, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a trainer and makeup and stylist and lighting people for her videos. That's what she's doing. That's her character. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm just, fucking tired of it. Let's move on, shall we? I want to ask you a question. You're not going to know this. Well, you might know it if you're really bright. Zach Braff. Maybe it was Zach Braff. He's 40, she's 25. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I was with an 18-year-old at 35, says Moss. Yeah, if it's legal, it's legal. And if it's consensual, it's consensual. You know, what do you want? Okay, listen to me. There's not a survey. Well, there is. The survey in Japan came out. Nintendo wanted to find out of all their Super Mario characters, which ones are the most popular, right? I'm going to tell you the top. Let me tell you oh, that's true, JB. She ain't no Taylor Swift. That's true. I'm going to tell you the top 10, okay? And then I'm going to tell you the 6 to 10. But I was very surprised. About the top 5. Number 10, 2% of people said Donkey Kong is my favorite. Rosalina, 2%. Rounding error. Rosalina is number 9. Number 8 is King Boo. Number 7 is a Koopa Troopa. And number 6, really sad. Number 6 makes me really sad. Number 6 is Luigi. I would have thought Luigi would have ranked higher. Only 4% said Luigi was their favorite character. It is not Pikachu. What's a YouTube? This is favorite Super Mario characters, basically. Okay. Here we go. Number 5. Bowser. Okay. You'd think Luigi would rank higher than Bowser, but okay. Number 4 is Peach. Okay. Number 3 is a real shocker. Number 3 is Toad. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Number 3 is Toad? It says Peach had more fans amongst mature gamers, speaking of age, ranking 4th for fans 40 to 49 and 5th for the 30 to 39 and 50 to 59 demographics. But she was snubbed by people 29 years old and younger who didn't have the Mushroom Kingdom Monarch in their top 5. Bowser got the most support from participants who were 50 to 59. He was number 3. Okay? But yeah, I like that. Scott says number 1 should be the blue turtle shell. You goddamn right. But listen, okay, here we go. So number 3 is Toad, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. You fucking play Luigi's Mansion, the all of them, the most recent one. My God, that's a brilliant fucking game. Except the end boss, which is broken. All right, here we go. Can you guess the number 2 Super Mario Brother character who is the second most popular with 16% of the votes? 16% of the vote. In fact, let me see. Let me see if this guy knows. Cannibal Lecter, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Oh, my goodness. Who do you think the number 2 character is that the Japanese folks voted on, who was the number 2 character with 16.4% of the vote?
So I don't know this. Yoshi or Mario? Which one?
I don't know. You want to guess?
Ooh, Japanese. Mario?
Okay, I'll let you know in a second. So he says Mario. He's right. 16% gave it to Mario. Saltiest, and some of you guys are right. The number 1 at 18% was Yoshi. I can kind of get that. In the 10 to 19-year-old age group, Yoshi had more than 3 times many votes as Mario. And the dinosaur had more than double the plumber support from fans in 20s and 30s. It's not like younger voters were stuffing the ballot box, as each group had roughly the same number of respondents. Yoshi had plenty of supporters amongst all the age groups, though. I'm stunned by that, but I'm more stunned by Toad and Luigi being way down there in the the goddamn stratosphere. That doesn't make any sense what I just said, but you know what I'm saying. Let me get this from Jarvie. Good sir, Jarvie rocks. Thank you, buddy. He says Luigi should be number 1. Nintendo needs to do a recount. Bullshit. Luigi was not number 1. I don't disagree with you. Here it is right here. If you don't believe me, I'll put the link. It's a fun article. If you don't know this website, it's a great fucking website. It just covers sort of Japanese culture from sort of a geeky American. I mean, they're in Japan, but if you kind of think Japan's a fun kind of place, and I've only been a couple times, but I've enjoyed it. This is a great website. It's called Sora News. Here's one. Young Japanese women in the survey more likely to pee in the shower than any other sex or age. That's the kind of stuff they do. But it's a good website. Look at that. It says, Japan's an extremely clean society. The overall results to how often we're going to get back to game news, I promise. I'm going to watch the viewer count just plummet. But I like things like this. They're funny. The overall results, how often you pee in the shower. Often is 4%, moderately often is 5%, sometimes 12%. Oh, look at this. Rarely is 11, almost never is 8, and never is 57%. Come on, man. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. But the majority of people who admit to peeing in the shower in Japan are women 20 to 29 years old. That's the majority. That's the majority right there. Okay. I want to show you something else from the same website that I think is just great. Yeah, guys are lying. I'm telling you, everybody pees in the goddamn shower. Come on now. You know what you can also buy in Japan right now? This is great, man. This is great. You can literally go and buy herbs, red herbs, and green herbs from Capcom. Didn't I put a link already? Like Resident Evil, okay? And so it's kind of great because you can actually, unfortunately, they're not seeds. At first I thought they were seeds. And then I was excited. Yeah, when you revert, yeah, okay, yeah, let me fix my audio. You're right. Yeah, I know, it's different. Hang on a second. Audio capture. I know, man. I know. Hang on. Let me fix this. Test. Okay, so that's where it is there. Tell me if this is better or worse on the audio. But yeah, I thought that these were... yes, you can mix them. Your audio gets louder when you go to the browser. Tell me if this is better. But you can mix them, and it's really cool. But unfortunately, it's bath salts. They're not actually herbs that you can grow in your garden, but it's still pretty fucking cool. Another thing I want to show you real quick. If you're listening to this, you'll probably miss the point. Maybe I'll cut this out of the podcast. But take a look at your screen if you have a moment. It's still doing it. You know, I'm going to fix it for you right now. Hang on. I know exactly what it is. Hang on. Let me get that. So it's better when I'm on this screen, right? Okay, so let me take audio input capture and let me put it here. Audio. Hang on. Audio input. Hang on, fellas. I just want to get this fixed because I know it's a pain in the ass. Audio input capture. Okay, so I'm going to add a source to this screen. Audio input capture. Okay, here. Add source. Okay, tell me now if that is better. Okay, and if it is, we're off the races. Okay. I want to show you this real quick. So the game The Ascent came out. If you don't know, they just did an update on the what's that thing called? On Game Pass, where now it has RTX and all kinds of things. But it's a beautiful game. One of the prettiest games I've ever seen in my goddamn life. One of the best results of or executions of cyberpunk in a video game ever. Well, someone used a mod in Unreal, and they were able to create or detach the camera because it's an isometric camera, and they were able to make it so that you can go into first person. And I want to show you this because it's gorgeous. Hang on, let me turn this down, though. It's just fucking beautiful. If you look at your screen, now you can hear me, right? God damn it. What I was saying. Okay, so this is a game. It was done in isometric view. And Microsoft has put out a patch recently for the Game Pass version, or the developer has, that allows them to do ray tracing and all of that stuff, okay? But somebody on Unreal got a hold of a hack, and they were able to go into the game and decouple the camera from the 3/4 perspective. And this is what their fucking game looks like in first person. It's fucking beautiful. I mean, you get really close and it's not as gorgeous as you would think, but this, I mean, if I was working on this game, like I remember the team did this for me with Calling All Cars once. This is Ascent, yes. And I was like, oh my God, it looks so good. Look at that. But if this was, we that wasn't the game we had made, and I would not have been able to go to the team though and said, okay, let's go back to 3/4 perspective. I would have been like, are you out of your guy? I don't even understand how this is possible. How in the world they made this game and they made it look as good as this, and then they said, you know what we should do? Let's pull the camera back really far. I'm like, why? Maybe they were afraid. Maybe they were looking at Cyberpunk. And this is a game made by 12 people. Something's going on. I don't buy it. I don't buy this was made by 12 people. It's not possible. Or if it is, I need to know how they did it. Because the sense of realism in this world and the sense of ambiance and activity, like you're really there, blows the shit out of Cyberpunk, blows the shit out of most games. And it's made by 12 people? Come on, man. It's got nothing to do with Xbox and Ratchet and Console Wars. This is coming out on PS4 or 5 eventually, I think, too. I think it's just exclusive right now on Xbox. I think that is. But this wasn't funded by Microsoft. I don't think. But look at that. Insane. Insane. I would not have been able to resist going, I don't care. Just go over the shoulder or go first person and we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. They often share public bathrooms called Sento, or community bathrooms for a small fee. Oh, you're talking about in Japan. Gotcha. Okay. They wanted to make a twin stick shooter. Well, maybe they did, but after it looks this good, you know what they should have done is fuck you, twin stick shooter. This would have, I mean, fuck, man. If you're Microsoft and you knew you'd have this exclusive, you fucking go, you know what? We will pay you guys $10 million to make this first person. Just fucking do it. Just fucking do it. I have no idea, Salty. Salty says, how is that possible to get the game looking this good? Couldn't tell you. I think it's just, I mean, you know, guess tools are getting easier. Turbo says, have I covered ill yet? I don't know. I don't, I don't know what that is. Bukaki says, I wouldn't have sex with that girl you just showed. Bad game. Yeah, that's right. VVL says, I guarantee you they discussed it a lot. Come on, man. It's gorgeous. Just watch this. Just beautiful. Anyway, there you go. All right, fellas, that's it. We got off to a late start. That was my bad. I appreciate you being patient with me tonight. But that's the show. That's Gabbin and Games. I will be back doing streams later in the week. I have a new guest I'm working on. Somebody was asking about Brenda Romero. She's going to be coming on soon. But tonight, I have this Moonshine and Biscuit Social Club thing that I'm going to be dropping pretty soon on you guys. So a lot's happening in that realm. I'm not ready to unveil it just yet. But okay, they outsourced a lot of the artistic and environment work, says Drake. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. War Mongrels I've been hearing a lot about. Okay, anyway, fellas, I'm out. I got to run. Take it easy. Rob the Mod, thank you. Bukaki, thank you. Very, very appreciative of you guys hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the phone calls. Thank you for the new memberships. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I may stream later tonight, but I got some things I got to get